If you're currently in your collegiate career or you're about to start your collegiate career, this video you need to watch because I just graduated Florida State University 2 weeks ago, and I have 5 major things that ultimately changed my life that I want to be able to pass on to you guys. So without further ado, let's start. Number one is certificates mean more. Come on, bro. Like, look at the job market. You know, we got AI, we got all types of things that's going on right now, and it's going to be extremely difficult for you to find a job unless it's like nursing or something like that. It's going to be extremely difficult for you to like find a job, especially if anything technical, like, you know, computer science, IT, or engineering, or, you know, anything like that. It's going to be super difficult for you to find a job. And going to college arguably is not really worth it. You know, I graduated, I got my bachelor's of science in history. I'm not doing anything history related. I'm doing, I started up my business. So I'm planning to get like an MBA, doing more business stuff. However, like, if I wanted to pursue history as an intellectual career, I could definitely sit there and argue that the amount of things that I learned as a history major is not history. It's all the skills and the research skills, which wasn't even huge. Like, I didn't like learn history, like how to research history, or like what is history, like how do you conduct something, like how do you know something is evidence, what are the thresholds of evidence. That's something was never taught. We just learned a bunch of facts and, you know, wrote articles about them, explaining it in a new way, you know, including research, but we never really went into the weaves, and it doesn't really matter, right? But what I'm saying is that like certificates matter more, and they're going to save you a lot more money. I would much rather for you to spend your money on gaining a certificate within the field that you want to be in, because it's going to be able to show companies that you, number one, you're dedicated. You know, going to college, you get into the system and you kind of feel forced to do these things. However, if you're not in college and you spend your own money on a certificate and being able to pass it, that's number one, that's more meaningful to the companies because you're not obligated by a system, right? Number two, you'll be able to save a lot more time. You're going to learn the essential things of what companies are looking for, because companies are investing in certificate programs and you are paying monies to those certificate programs, and then you are finishing the certificates. Certificates resemble what's currently wanted and desired in the job market. That's really not the case when it comes to college and universities anymore. And that's been a thing for a very long time. So get a certificate. They mean a lot more. If you're thinking about going to college, you know, maybe not, but college is fun. So, I mean, hey, whatnot. The other thing that I want to be able to pass on, and I can't stress this enough, faculty, staff, and administration is everything. It's everything. If you are at a university, you have to understand that the university is an academic institution, and they are trying to recruit academic leaders within the relevant fields. Faculty, staff, and admin are everything. You are a student. You have to go out there and connect with these people, because that's where you're going to get your most like bang for your buck, and the connections and everything. They're old. They're 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. They're old. They know what's out. They know what's been out. They know what's going on in the field. And you're not going to know what's going on in the field just sitting in class all day. You're not. Office hours. Please use office hours to connect with your professor and learn what's going out on the field. Because you're going to be able to find internships. You're going to find opportunities. And if you build a good enough relationship with your professor, they're going to put you on. They will speak about you in rooms that you can't even enter. They will put you on. You will find so many opportunities. Just faculty, admin, and staff, being a part of them. And what's even better is that you can be part of the faculty, admins, and staff, like you are their colleague. It's over with. It's over. Like, if you can begin working with them and you are now their colleague, it's over with. It's so over. Like, they can be able to put you in rooms you've never seen possible before. I managed to get myself into positions. I managed to be considered for a director of a nonprofit here. A director of a nonprofit straight out of graduation. Why? Because I'm networked with these people. I'm networking with these people. I'm like their colleague. We do work together. As a student, we're doing work together. Being able to leverage and put yourself into positions where it's like, hey, you're working on this project. From the student side, I want to be able to work on it with you too. That's powerful. It is powerful. It can be able to get you in so many different rooms that you didn't even know existed. And at least from my knowledge, at least from Florida State University, there's another guy named Justin. Man, he works the admin and staff like crazy. And I love the dude for that. I love the dude for that. So faculty, staff, and admin are everything. The things that you can be able to get done is crazy. And you need to be able to learn that, like, that's where you need to hang out with. That's where you need to, like, if you're old enough, take them out to bars, take them out to coffee shops, get to know them as people, and then work with them. Like, you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff that you're going to be able to gain skills, experiences, like it's like nothing other. Like, you won't be able to do that with your collegiate friends. You're going to be able to achieve so much more with other people who are in those spaces. Which leads me to my other thing, is experiences changes everything. You know, you can only grow to what you've been exposed to. And you've never been exposed to it, then you can't even fathom growing to it. Experiences changes everything. I came in, I wanted to be a PhD philosopher, then I wanted to be a sociologist, I wanted to be an academic. And then I changed it to history. And then at one point I was like, nah, I want to go into law school. And then I don't want to go to law school. Now I'm on this business track. I founded my business like a year ago, actually today. But like, experiences changes everything. You might come in, which is fine. You know, it's something that you would expect. You come in as one thing, you might completely change because you know, you can only grow to what you've been exposed to. And when you become more exposed to other things, the more you can actually like evaluate it and see whether or not it's right for you. The more you can evaluate it and see how it makes you feel. You know, what are your energy levels? How do you interact with it? You know, what aspects of it you love, what aspects of it you don't love, things like that. You know, you can only grow to what you've been exposed to, and experiences changes everything. And like 9 times out of 10, you really won't know what you're going to do until you get into your like later half of your junior year or your senior year. Like I made this pivot full force into like business like a year ago, really, to be honest. It was literally last summer where I was like, you know what, I want to do this business stuff. And here I am. And now I'm pursuing it as a full career. I'm trying to get revenue, trying to get all those things. And so experiences changes everything. You might come in with one idea, but I promise you not, it won't be the final idea. You'll probably have so many pivots and change, which is okay. Use college as your advantage to go out and experience things. When you say, oh, I want to be an attorney, don't sit there and say, I'm going to be an attorney and be set in stone in that, and don't feel bad for changing. What you need to do is say, I want to be an attorney. Now go join Phi Alpha Delta, which is a law fraternity. Go out and take an internship. Go gain all the experiences to see how it makes you feel. See what parts about it you love or whatnot. And if you don't really love it in the same ways that you thought you did, cool, make a transition. That's fine. That's what college is for. It's for those experiences. It's really for those experiences. And the last thing that I want to be able to say is that when it comes to major universities, there is a level of cultural elitism that people don't really fully like realize. There is a cultural elitism. In the same way that you have economic classes, there are cultural classes, right? And I don't mean really in a bully way, right? But like, you know, I never realized it was a thing until I started getting up there in age, like junior or senior year. And it's like, damn, that's a freshman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could tell like the way they act and the way they operate. You know, when you get into junior or senior year, like hopefully you get yourself into a position where you're really focused on yourself and you're focused on your craft. You're focused on building something because that graduation date is coming and you need to be able to have that skill set and those experiences to make that transition into real life. And so when you start coming out of the picture, you should really be out of the picture since day one. You should, faculty, admin, staff, day one. But if you are a social butterfly and you've been partying or whatever, about junior year, you should start transitioning out of that just a tad bit. Start transitioning out of that and really honing into your craft. And what you're going to be able to see is like, there's a level of a cultural elitism that you adopt. You become more reserved. You know, you don't go out all the time. You become more absent. You don't find everything attractive anymore, right? You don't find this event or that event attractive anymore. You would much rather focus on these 3 major things that are actually contributing to what you want to build, which is very important. And so, but you have to think, especially if you are a freshman or a sophomore right now, or you're considering to be a part of a university, do recognize that there's a level of cultural elitism that exists. And people are watching. People are watching all the time. and as a freshman, as a sophomore, you might not make the smartest decisions. Please take it from me. You might not make the smartest decisions. And that's okay, but it's also not okay. Because it's okay because you need to learn from those experiences, but it's not okay because, you're being watched. You are being watched nonstop, whether you think about it or not, whether through his social media, whether through his word of mouth, whether it's just being a part of certain circles. You are being watched since day one. And are you going to be that type of person on day one to go ahead and connect up with faculty, admin, and staff, and you're on LinkedIn because now you got internships and experiences and you're in rooms that other people can't be in? Are you going to be that type of person? Or are you going to tailor yourself to the readily accessible, all the parties and all the clubs and stuff like that? Or are you going to be a founder? Are you going to build something on campus? These are the things that people are really looking for. These are the things that people are really looking for. And so do be aware there's a level of cultural elitism and you're being watched. And every decision you make is very important, especially when it comes to your social status. But at the end of the day, so long as you're primarily focused on faculty, admin, and staff, and you don't really care too much about like your collegiate peers, you should really only be surrounding yourself with the collegiate peers who like are advancing your own interests. If you want to do a whole bunch of coding and app stuff like that, go hang out with CS majors. There's no reason to hang out with anybody else for real. I'm just keeping it 100. But yeah, that's the 5 major things that I learned from Florida State, and just my college experience altogether. And hopefully it was helpful. Yeah.